must we create our own purpose in life, or is our purpose already predetermined? It's an amazing question. Mhm. You see, when you say, um, when you say that must we create our purpose in life, I think we as human beings, we intrinsically see purpose in things. We find meanings, we ascribe values. We have a very teleological ontology, an essence that sees a purpose in things. And purpose doesn't have to be a grandiose, it can be, but it does. So, for example, I'm going to help humanity is a huge, but it doesn't have to be that. And I feel one of the problems, challenges, let me say, of this age is this uh, this bedazzlement, this confusion of purpose in life. Because I was having this conversation with a client on or a session on Patreon actually, that and I've spoken of it as well on other occasions, and it's that, look, purpose in life doesn't have to, it can be something amazing, but it could be just understanding a role in life. So in certain studies done in happiness, researchers, they study different parts of the world, and they actually found that poor countries, people were actually in devastating circumstances, not absolutely on the verge of death, not those, sure, though, but very impoverished societies, people living just about struggling with daily poverty, but they had something to eat, they had something, so they weren't starving, not that society, but where there was a lack of opportunity and absolutely what we would consider abysmal circumstances, and we would assume people there are very depressed, but it turns out they weren't. And so a lot of these studies that are cross-cultural, they found that one of the fundamental thing was meaning in life, and this comes back to purpose. So they found in some of the studies, they looked at Bangladesh actually, and they looked at Bangladesh, Peru, Thailand, and countries like this, which they, at the time, there was certain flooding and things like this in Bangladesh, and but they found that so that people, so in this certain case, this case study, this lady, her meaning in life was that she was a mother and raising her children. This gave her a sense, this was a, a goal. This was, it wasn't just a goal, it was a meaning to life. That she took care of her husband, that her husband went out and he did farming or whatever he did, but she did this. She made sure she took care of the home. She had that she saw her children, took care of them, nourished them. This was her purpose in life. She was a mother. She was a wife. She was a like, these things were the goal. They were the destination. They were the journey. That, I think, we have become confused about. And it's an interesting discussion, actually, this thing on wife, for example, because there was a clip. saw recently. This was I saw recently. I think it was an Australian clip, some kind of breakfast show, and some woman on there. She is saying that she's describing her life, and she says, "Well, I wake up in the morning." So she's a housewife, and she has some kids. I can't remember, maybe two or. And she says, "Well, look, I wake up in the morning. I make breakfast for my husband. He wakes up. I make a packed lunch for him. I get the kids ready. I send him off. He comes back. I'm at home. I do this. I get dinner ready for. I wait for my husband when he comes home." And she was white Australian. So and she wasn't like some kind of cult or anything. She seemed just as very normal as any normal person. Her kind of counterpart. The host are mocking her, and they're saying, "Well," and there's a man and a woman, so it's some kind of like a breakfast show, and they're saying, "Well, she makes food for him. What is he, disabled? Why can't he cook his own food? Why can't he? Oh, she wakes up and is oh my God! Talk about going back 50 years. Talk about doing this." And it's actually very disparaging. Like, and you think, well, you see, why are they knocking these values? Like, if a person finds meaning, why are they trying to demonize a person's meaning? And they say, well, oh, she must be oppressed. She clearly wasn't oppressed. I mean, she was as modern could be. She wasn't like, just to be clear, that's why I said she was white Australian. It wasn't a religious thing. She was very modern. But she was just taking pride in this. But we are in an age where people would say, "Oh my God, you do this for your husband." Like that's oppressive. And many women shame women on this. And that's a different thing to discuss on another day, but it leads to a huge crisis because you think, well, why does it? Because it makes people very now a person doing that becomes very self-conscious not to do it, or they feel awkward now doing it. And this comes back to it comes back to goals in life or purposes or your life. Now, people are being told that these things are not enough meaning for you. You can't have a meaning like this. This is, in fact, an oppression. This is mundane. You need to find meaning in grandiose things. And that's great. That's great. Sure. If you can become a great artist, if you can become somebody who conquers great obstacles, if you can become somebody that sets up huge entrepreneurial companies and corporations, more power to you. But let's face it, that's if not even going to be 1% of humanity, or 1% at most, that will be these massively successful, overcome these great things. Most people are not going to have that kind of talent. They're not going to just one day become a singer, or one day become an artist, or one day become a writer, or just set up a company and it becomes a success. Most people are not going to. And what society has done, it's shifted. It's removed what people found meaning in everyday life, which everybody had. It's removed those brackets and almost demonized that, oh, you're a loser. What you find meaning in just being a mother, or you find meaning in just doing that's yeah, sure, but you need meaning in something else. And the problem is, many people will not be able to reach that elitist bracket of life. There's nothing wrong. I think that elitist, if you can exceptional bracket, that's awesome if you can do things like that. But let's face it, your common person is not going to be able to pull off ventures like that in life, not with a huge success anyway. Maybe they will and it'll be okay, but it won't be exceptionally extravagant. So thereby they feel a sense of failure in life. And this is all, it ties in with today's theme of what if. Oh, if only I'd done this, if only. But it's about no. And sure, empowering for the future, but also finding meaning in your everyday thing. Somebody could find meaning in just reading poetry. It's a great meaning in just observing the natural landscape. You see, so, but when we say, is there a purpose, a goal in life, the goal's purpose is a spectrum. It's all a purpose. Somebody could find a purpose in being a father, in being a husband, in being a wife, in being a mother, in being a friend, in being a human for humanity, in being an observer. True. وَشَاهِدٍ وَمَشْهُودٍ. Allah says in the Quran, swears by the one just observing. So these are important points. I think they can't really be overstated.